Harpo, who this woman? I don't know her. Hey sunshine, welcome to my channel. First off, if this is your first time here, hey girl, how you doing? Secondly, if you enjoy lifestyle, beauty, fashion, level up, glow up type of content, please consider subscribing because we are on a mission over here and I would love for you to come along. So today we're talking about something that completely changed my life in my 30s, and that's changing your identity and reinventing yourself. So if you've ever felt just stuck, lost, completely dissatisfied with where you are, trust me, I have been there. I feel like most of us, especially if you're an ambitious babe, you're going to have reinventions at different stages of your life, and you're probably going to reinvent yourself multiple times throughout your life. Just because as we live life, we evolve, we grow, we learn, we obtain new knowledge. I just remember my biggest change came when I was approaching 30 and right after I turned 30. And I know that a lot of people experience that type of change around that time in life because it is just a huge milestone, especially as women when you're transitioning from your 20s into your 30s. It's really just that time when we start to reflect on our future and, adulthood. We really step into our womanhood, and it's just that time where you're just grown. So at that time in my life, things were just really crazy. I was in a really unhealthy long-term relationship. I had gained a crazy amount of weight. I was unhealthy. Shortly after turning 30, I got diagnosed as pre-diabetic. I was smoking cigarettes. Yes, I was smoking cigarettes. When I think about it now, I'm like, child, I've lived a life. Let's just say that. And I just really had people in my orbit that really just didn't care about me and my well-being and the well-being of my family. I just remember just feeling completely lost and depressed, unhappy. I felt unmotivated. I just remember feeling like I don't recognize myself. It was like I was living outside of my body and looking at myself from the outside and not recognizing who I was. It was like this weird thing kind of happened to me where I looked at myself from my little Keisha lens, my big dreamer, untainted by the world lens, and just didn't recognize who I was. It was just like, Harpo, who this woman? I don't know her. I was playing myself big time. And then just fast forward to today where I feel healthier, I feel stronger, I feel more fulfilled and knowledgeable than I ever have before. And of course that's natural because I'm older and I've had experiences. And to be honest, I'm actually on a reinvention journey right now. Doing this YouTube is part of that journey. I just had a really rough previous year and actually several years before that. And I'm just really looking at life differently. So that's where the reinvention comes from, because I'm thinking more about what is important to me now and what do I want the next phase in my life to look like? What is it that I want my life to look like as I age and get older? So it's time for a shakeup. But I really hope to share this journey with you. And if you're going through the same thing, I would love to hear about it in the comments. And also, I just hope if you're sitting on the fence or if you don't know where to start, that I can be some sort of an inspiration and also just learn from each other. Like, that's part of the human experience, is to not only just put things out there. I'm in no way an expert in anything that I'm doing. Life is a journey, so none of us are experts at life. It's growing, it's learning, it's sharing experiences, and that's what I hope to gain from trying to build a community here. And I hope that you feel that too, and that, we can share, we can empower each other and just really create something beautiful here. So back to the topic, how did I do it? Let's get into it. So the first step to reinventing yourself is admitting that you need to. And that was the thing that I had to do when I first started on my journey, because I was just on autopilot. I was just going through the motions every day. My literal routine was get up in the morning, get the kids ready for school, take the kids to school, go to work, come home from work, get the kids if they weren't already there, depending on their age, cook dinner, take baths, get, the next day's clothes together, go to sleep, wake up, repeat, and do the same thing. And that was just all the time. I was thriving, I was getting by, but I wasn't elevating. Nothing was changing in my life. I wasn't obtaining any of the goals that I want. My life was not in any way moving in a trajectory of where I wanted it to go. And then for years, I believed subconsciously those self-limiting thoughts from my environment. So things like stay comfortable, don't take risks, stick to one thing your whole life, that dream's too big. Things like that don't happen to people like us. It's too late. And then the one that really grind my gears is just to be grateful for what you have, no matter how miserable you are. Ciao. Make it make sense. And then I had to realize that most of the time people have these self-limiting thoughts and can't step out of their comfort zone because it's a fear of failure. But the thing is, you'll never grow if you let fear paralyze you, because you have to be able to bet on yourself, because nobody else is going to if you don't believe in yourself. And then I don't remember how or why, but I stumbled upon The Secret, the movie and the book. And now I can't attest that I believe everything that's in there, but it did introduce me to manifestation, to the power of mindset, and just to all around new possibilities that I hadn't considered before. And although I couldn't get on board with everything, those were the things that I could buy into, because what was the alternative? For me to just keep doing what I was doing and waiting for a miracle to fall out of the sky? I believe for most of us, there are some lucky ones in the world, but for most of us, we have to at least create the door for abundance to walk through. I grew up where everyone pretty much just lived paycheck to paycheck. It was a very simple life. You know, people around me weren't super ambitious. They weren't really interested in striving for more. And that's okay if you're satisfied with that. You know, as humans, we're different. We have different goals. We have different needs, we have different wants. But I realized for me that wanting something more was okay. And that took a long time. Something so simple took such a long time for me to actually be okay with. I just constantly heard, you just have to be happy with what you've got. And the thing about it is, in my mind, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. So I can want more and still also be grateful for what I have. I learned the hard way for me that growth is necessary and that stagnation was just not an option. It just felt like death to me. Life is a journey and we're wired for growth in whichever way is meaningful to us as individuals. Some people are happy with having a simpler, smaller, minimalistic life. And some people want bigger, grander, fashionable style, just a different type of lifestyle. And that's okay. We can all exist in this world. We all can respect each other and value each other for our differences. So long story short, the moment that I acknowledged that I needed to change, that was the moment when my reinvention began to take hold. And then my next step was leaving behind the things that did not serve me. I didn't know what new life would look like. I didn't know what the first step was. I didn't know what was the right step. What I did know is what I did not want my life to look like. And one of the hardest but most necessary steps that I had to make was letting go of people, habits, and places that did not serve me. I had to let go of my long-term unhealthy relationship. My partner was not interested in the changes that I wanted to make. We were, highly misaligned with our goals and where we saw our life in the next coming, years. And my partner just was not open to growth in the same way that I was. Then the other thing that I had to do was I had to quit smoking. I wasn't smoking for very long. It was really just trauma, stress, depression response. But luckily, it was easy for me because I quit cold turkey. It was like I woke up one day, I decided to quit. I quit. I didn't need a patch or anything else. When I let it go for good, and I was done with it, and I've never went back since. And now I can see that was a long, long, long time ago. But I know that some people really struggle with it, and I was just blessed that God put it on my heart that, we don't quit. We're going to make that easy for you. And then the other thing that I did was I had to get a little bit more clear about what I wanted to do career-wise, because the job that I was in was not something that I saw myself in long-term. So I actually went back to school and got my education to prepare myself to transition my career. And then the other thing that happened was that, like I said earlier on in the video, is that I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. This was like after 30s, but this was still during reinvention period time. But I got diagnosed with being pre-diabetic. So that really kicked my butt into gear. I lost about, like 50, 60 pounds at the time. And I did it in like 4 or 5 months. I was just really diligent, consistent with eating healthy, with working out all the time. And I just completely changed my lifestyle just to live a healthier lifestyle. And then one of the things that I had to do too, and this was later on in the process, was I moved away. And maybe this is not something that everyone needs to do. It's just sometimes when you're in your hometown, you have that everyone knows your name type of energy. It can really make you stuck and keep you from growing and progressing. And it's like sometimes you have to physically remove yourself from a situation just so that you can truly focus and hone in and just really dedicate your life to being consistent on working towards your goals. And then also just had to cut ties with people who weren't adding value to my life. And that included dating men who didn't have good intentions for me. I will admit, it wasn't a clear cut or easy journey. It was hard. And it was one of those things where you regress, you fall back into old patterns. I hope I didn't lose anything that I was saying, but I had to change out the memory card on the camera. So we're back. So to pick up what I was saying, it wasn't easy. I fell back into old patterns at times. But the thing about it is they were lessons that I had to learn. And each time I had a setback, it just pushed me closer to the person that I envisioned myself to be. One of the biggest mindset shifts that I had, and it still boggles my mind that a lot of people really struggle with this, even at my big age, is understanding your locus of control. And that's just taking control of and taking responsibility for your life, where so many people just feel like life is happening to them and as if they are not a driver of their life, like they're not an active participant in what happens to them in their life. And of course, things are going to just happen to us. We can't control everything in the world. That's just life. But I just couldn't accept that life was just always happening to me and that there was nothing that I could do. I knew in that moment that my life was a reflection of the decisions that I had made in the past. And if I wanted a different future for myself, I had to start making different choices in that moment, so that 5, 10, even 1 or 2 years, my life was not still looking the same. And then the next thing is realizing that reinventing yourself isn't just about an external glow up. The internal work is just as important, if not more important. So I just wanted to share some of the tips that helped me at the time, and hopefully these can help you as well. So at that point, at the earlier part of my reinvention journey, I hadn't started therapy yet. So I hadn't had talk therapy. So a lot of the internal work that I did was doing more self-therapy thing, like reading self-help books. I did make sure to read books that were written by licensed therapists, and then also doing a lot of self-care things and just really getting into, being selfish and taking care of myself and putting myself first so that I could show up for others. And then another thing that I did at the time was I started journaling, and I just started journaling like my dreams, my goals, my wants, my feelings, journaling the things that brought me joy, and just really going inside myself and getting to know myself, because when you're on autopilot and just going through the motions, you really just can lose yourself. And I was at a point where I just didn't know what I wanted. I'd been just, like I said, on autopilot so long, and I was just doing what I had to do versus doing what I wanted to do. It's almost like you can just become a robot. And it's unfortunate because I feel like as humans in this world, we're trained to be that way. And we're trained to be that way because somebody benefits from it. But that's a whole other conversation. Then at that time was when I learned about what a SMART goal was, and I did my first vision board that was, not just a pretty piece of art I put together, but it was actually a SMART vision board. To be honest, it did have some pretty stuff because I'm just a creative person. I always want to make things pretty. So it definitely was pretty, but I did put those SMART goals on there as well. But it really just helped me to get clear about what I wanted my life to look like, and to really just paint a picture of that. And then another tip, a thing that I did was I really started showing up for myself, because you're always just showing up for other people, and I felt like I was neglecting myself. So that was one of the big things, is that I started showing up for myself and started keeping my promises to myself, because that was a huge game changer. I was like, when you say you're going to do something. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change that. I really just started doing the things that I promised myself I would do. And part of that flows into my next step was I started embodying the woman that I wanted to be. I started acting like my higher self before my reality caught up. Because we can really get stuck in this loop of once I reach X or once I obtain X, then I'll start to do Z. And you don't have to wait for X to come and pass and go before you start doing Z. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for anything to start behaving like the woman that you envision yourself to be. You just start doing it. And then another thing I started to do was I started loving myself the way that I loved others. Because it's like, why can I give so much to others and give so much love? I know like one of the biggest things for me is when I hear somebody talk negatively about themselves and I don't see that for them. If they say like something about their appearance or, you know, where they are in life, I'm always thinking like, I don't see that in you. I see this beautiful person. I see the accomplishments and the things that they have tried to do in their life. So I turned that back on myself when I had those thoughts, saying those things out loud. I still slip up even to this day sometimes. And it's very interesting because my daughter always catches me. But it really just resonated with me that if I see other people speaking on themselves like that, I'm doing the same thing. And it really just changed the way that I looked at myself and the way that I spoke to myself and made me love myself more and give myself more grace. And then that also flows into like realizing how much I neglected of myself because I was pouring so much into others. And that was part of also my self-love, was stopping neglecting myself and not just pouring into others, but also I need to fill my own cup. Like you can't pour from an empty cup. So I had to fill myself up. And then the next thing I had to realize is that reinvention isn't about this big, massive change that's usually unsustainable because you're just doing too much at one time. But it's about these small habits and daily things that add up to these bigger transformations. So I focused on those daily things like journaling, eating healthy, moving my body daily. And at the time I was in school, so I was doing homework, making sure that I kept up with that. Oh, where did I lose a nail? Oh my gosh, you guys, I lost a nail and I don't know where it went. It's probably stuck in my hair somewhere. This is what happens when you're recording. The stuff that we usually cut out in the final edit. But I might keep this in because, you know, as girls, we go through things, so it's real. So yeah, where was I? And then I just like stopped doom scrolling, spending so much time online. And that actually wasn't that hard to do because I was so busy with my kids, going to work, and with school. I just didn't have time to be online looking at stuff for, you know, crazy amounts of time. And then the next one is I just had to embrace change and evolution. Like I said earlier, reinvention isn't typically a one-time thing. As we grow, as we get older, as we gain new knowledge and information, we're going to evolve. Hopefully, like you want to evolve. It's like every version of you serves a purpose for you in that moment, but you don't have to stay the same. And I just believe that sometimes the key to success and to have mental peace is to evolve out of that old person. It's getting out of your old identity and stepping into the more evolved person that you were meant to be. So if you're feeling stuck or lost or just like something is missing, I truly sympathize with that because it's a hard place to be, especially when you don't know where to go next or what's the right step. Because I feel like sometimes we can just get hindered by what's the right thing to do. We don't want to take a risk, especially when you have family responsibilities. You know, it's understandable. You don't want to put your family in any type of unnecessary risk. So it's hard knowing what is the right thing to do, what is the best step to take. But if you are feeling that way, it might be time for a reinvention for you. That may be the key to you feeling that joy in life again. And I just know for myself, as I get older, I learn new things about myself. Things become clearer. And I'm always just on a quest to just be my most authentic self and to live my life as my higher self, as the life that I envision myself to be. Because I know that that's the place where I will be happy. And you just have to find your joy in that way and just pursue it, because our time on this earth is so short. And why would you want to spend it and waste time not living the life that you want to live? We're not born knowing everything, so it's only natural that we're going to evolve and change and want to have different experiences in life. So my big advice is embrace change, because that's the only thing that's constant in this world. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. So just take one step, even if it's just a baby step, towards your reinvention. It doesn't have to be huge. You just have to start. And if you're on this journey like I am, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it. And just let me know how you're reinventing yourself, what your plan is. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, share for your sister who may need it, and just hit that bell so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. And thank you for watching. Bye. With my broken nail. Or my missing nail. It's not even broken, it's just gone. Okay, bye.